Welcome, dear all, to twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. This is Stammer stream. It's like weekly manga recap, only without the Yanks. I'm your stammering host, Wensleydale Cheddar, and let me tell you about my exploits in Pokemon Black 2. You see, after I evolved my Sunkern, it turned out that Sunflower was just a little more useful, but only up to the 5th gym. Then, sorry.
I'm just gonna let you keep. I was just gonna see how long you were gonna keep going for that one.
For some reason, I expected a little more opposition from you. I guess if Castor were around, then he would just say, no, nobody wants to hear about your. I don't know why I gave him the Pegasus voice, but I suppose he's
just Pegasus. Oh, Wensleydale boy.
Wensleydale boy. Nobody wants to hear about your
boy.
Pokemon. Ooh.
Nobody wants to hear about your Sunkern and grass type obsession.
Woo! Then he just becomes James. I suppose he's posh enough for Pegasus. I'll tell you that.
Like, James and Pegasus are really just 2 decibels away from each other, I think.
Yeah. James is a little more sanguine.
Dignified.
Yeah. Maybe. Okay. I was going to say less, but all right then. Anyway, I'm here alongside your non-stammering host, Dr. Nova, whose life has been turned into an anime, and it still has to have some harem elements to it. I'm never gonna
If
let
only
that
that
go.
was true in real life.
Oh dear.
Anyway. Yeah.
We are unfortunately not joined here by Hoven with an H or Caster UK, since they're both busy with schoolwork. But yeah, how are you doing this week, and how's the ODAR event coming along for you?
The event is so far, at least in my mind, I think it's working very well. I think we have a lot of good team-ups forming. I think we have a lot of good writing coming together. I feel very sorry for all of the people going down the path of fame, because a lot of them are like all requesting challenges at the same time, so there's a bit of a overload right there.
Yeah, and basically Grail, because we all 4 of the moderators just oversee one of the paths, with Blockhead just being a floater, and I suppose Grail's just gonna hate this event because all of the requests are coming to him.
It's unfortunate there, and it's also really unfortunate because for some reason, at least 3 different adventures all ended this week. And I always feel really sad when that happens, because an event time is like the worst time to request a review.
Oh, right.
It's like, yeah, because the mods are busy like overseeing the event and writing themselves, so like we kind of have to put it on the back burner sometimes.
Yeah.
But we'll try to push it out. It's just a lot of compact stuff, but there is something else I want to bring up. So, this year, a new animated film came out from Japan that actually surpassed Spirited Away as the highest-grossing Japanese animated film of all time.
Oh.
It's called Your Name.
All right. I think I've heard it, but I haven't exactly watched it.
Yeah. So it's actually gotten a theater release in Canada, which is actually pretty rare. Usually the only films that ever got theater releases were Studio Ghibli films. Other than that, you'd have to rely on film festivals to see them go forward. But this got a theater release.
Oh, cool.
And I decided to check it out because, as a lot of people know, Spirited Away is my favorite movie, so I wanted to see, a film that had surpassed it. And I heard about the beautiful animation, and it's true. The animation in this movie is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautifully done. It's well rendered. It mixes computer animated images with hand drawn animation, and all that's done very well.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it's a B minus movie at best,
Oh dear.
which is a little unfortunate. In the sense that in terms of characters and story, there's a lot of contrivances, and I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but I will say that it ends like 90% of romantic comedies end, like beat for beat. And I understand that those movies aren't as prevalent in Japan, so I can see how it wouldn't seem as much of a cliche.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good movie. I'll say it's a good movie. It just doesn't quite hit the heights that I think a lot of people think it does.
Yeah, it's a shame because I've heard I think somewhere on Hoven's Twitter feed. I'm not sure if it exactly was Milo, but I've heard it compared to A Silent Voice, which as I said last stream is one of my favorite manga of all time. So I was wondering how exactly it compared. I'd still be interested in seeing it though.
Yeah, no, I'd recommend it. I don't see how it's comparable to A Silent Voice because there's no deaf or even like disabled or LD characters within the film.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the only real connection there's some romantic elements to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I don't know. Maybe it's because I just saw the movie. That's a weird comparison to me. But I mean, like I said, it is a decent movie. I would put it's a B minus on its own, B with the really good animation.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm happy it's getting the attention it is because it's a good studio. It's a really, really good studio, and if they keep making the money they're making and keep like pushing out movies like this, I'll be perfectly satisfied.
Yeah, though this does kind of touch upon my a bit of a pet peeve of mine when it comes to the anime fandom, I guess. The Western anime fandom as a whole is that we usually tend to prefer good visuals, pretty visuals, and good animation to good story, which is I think a bit of a shame.
Yeah, but the thing about the actual animation in Your Name is it is actually very important for the direction of Japanese animated movies.
Oh,
because there's been a lot of Japanese animated movies that have been trying to mix CGI with hand-drawn animation in an attempt to kind of take in some of the newer elements but still stay true to hand-drawn animation.
Mm-hmm.
And Your Name does this very well, almost seamlessly at times.
Oh.
And I will say that even if you argue that it's a little unfortunate that people are praising Your Name so much for the animation when the story doesn't hold up as much. First of all, it's not a bad story. There's just a ton of plot holes and a lot of contrivances toward the end. But the animation in this movie is very important in what I think further down in the zeitgeist of Japanese animation, we're going to really look at this movie as a turning point.
Oh. Yeah. All right then. I'll watch it sometime soon probably. So
we can talk about it for a bonus pod.
Yeah, sure. Whenever there isn't a week of Jump again. So what week would that be?
No idea.
All right then. So let's move on to the review proper. Starting with One Piece, chapter 864. So, as Caster isn't here, and we haven't exactly had the time to prepare a summary. So, do you want to go through it page by page and just see what's up?
If we'd like, I can actually go through a summary pretty quick if we want, because not a
Yeah, okay.
not an awful lot happens, but I'll get to that.
Yeah, okay. You take
it's
over since you're more fluent and stuff.
Aw. So it's revealed that Brooke is the one who smashed the picture of Mother Caramel, only to find that it's not immediately having the effect that we thought it would, though it's a little up in the air as to why.
I'm sorry. It's revealed that it was Brooke. After that entire mystery last chapter. Who is this Luffy?
We had no idea, but now we finally had confirmation. I thought it was going to be Doflamingo, but they really threw me for a loop there.
I thought it was going to be Sabo.
It's always Sabo. So we meet. We get reintroduced to two other sons of Big Mom, Daifuku, who ate the lamp, who ate the poof. Whatever.
Eh?
He's a lamp guy, and then who can create a genie that's imbued with hockey.
I love this power.
I love this, and we also have Oven, a bake man who ate the heat fruit, who's gonna have a bunch of One Piece fanboys complaining because there was a guy in a filler arc who had something really similar.
Yeah.
And these two fruits are too similar to exist. Then we have the Big Mom Pirates about to straight up murder Judge and his family. And the kids, because they have no emotions, don't really seem that bothered about it. But Judge did. Judge is, crying over the fact that, like, hey, I'm about to die. This kind of sucks. Big Mom still hasn't had her freak out moment, despite the fact that it probably should have happened. And as Katakuri realizes that Capone was never really on their side to begin with, he makes an ominous line that, the future is about to change and none of us can really control it, or can we? Dun dun dun.
Well, as Yuhabak said, the future is like grains of sand.
Future's like grains of sand, I tell you.
Yeah.
I say, boy.
I say, boy, let me tell you about this lamp guy. So I was very angry about One Piece this week because it took 2 devil fruits I was planning to use for villains down the line at once.
Well, they can have smile fruits. At least this we know that 2 similar devil fruits can exist somehow to a degree, if they're fake.
Yeah, but it was literally this. It was literally a lamp man who could create genies to fight for him. And on the one hand, I'm sad I can't use that, but on the one hand, I'm just very happy that this power is actually canon. Because this is a fascinating power.
Yeah.
And
after... It was a little different in the anime. It was more of a projectile kind of thingy with this bounty hunter. Even so, I think here it's called Netsu no Mi, and in the anime it was Atsu no Mi. So yeah. I suppose if it's a different word, then yeah, it works.
Yeah. And then Oven, his heat fruit, which on the one hand, I'm almost sad these aren't bigger characters, but because I find that these fruits have a lot of potential. But I like the way Oda's been working in this arc. Is he's showing a lot of different devil fruits, and very quickly showing how they work and why these are being given to these huge characters. And also, considering this is more of an escape plan, I'm pretty sure we are going to see these characters again with their fruits used to better degrees. We didn't really need it, but we get confirmation as well that Jinbei does have armament hockey, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of a given, really.
Yeah,
he was a warlord.
You'd expect it. Yeah. And then finally, you have Judge, who I don't really know how to feel about this. I guess it kind of makes sense that the children wouldn't have any emotions. I don't really know why Judge is shocked by this.
I mean,
And
that's the problem I had, really, because they kind of have emotions. They tend to be smug. They can. I think that they've shown to be angry. They've also been shown to be lustful, I suppose.
yeah, I mean, their emotions are that they're assholes. Like, I feel like I don't really understand the choices there, and I guess I feel like the reason why Judge breaks so quickly is that we're trying to make him more sympathetic now, but
Uh,
I don't know.
I mean, you can't spell sympathetic without pathetic, and I think that this is more of a direction that we're taking with him. Yeah, I suppose I mean, I found the chapter okay, but I thought it was rather cluttered with all the goings on, all over the place. But then again, it was a lot better than when I reread it. So.
Yeah, this is the type of One Piece chapter that's a little frustrating to me, in the sense that there's so much happening, but when you actually step back, not a lot is really going on.
Yeah.
And, like, look, I've cut Oda a lot of slack here, but he needs to hurry the fuck up with this big mom shit. Like, he kind of just needs to decide, is she gonna have her big freak out that destroys a bunch of stuff, or is she just not gonna have it at all? Because it feels like we're still building to that, but it feels like we've been building to that for a while now, and it feels a little bit drawn out. I'll give him credit. If it doesn't, I get it. They broke the picture last chapter. I'll give him one more chapter on this, but I feel like you just kind of need to pick one. Is Big Mom gonna freak the fuck out, or is she not? Because that's kind of gonna be the linchpin that's gonna push everything in motion, and I don't know. It feels a little bit stagnant right now, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I suppose it's a little more understandable that with everything going on and with all of those characters in one place, it's kind of more natural or more realistic than that she won't exactly be able to concentrate on what to be angry about. But yeah, I guess I'd have to binge that arc again to see if the pacing is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a confusing chapter, but yeah, it was okay. Also,
All right.
Also, let's not start another pudding discussion until we see what happens next week. Please, 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 let's not do this.
Definitely. All right. What's next?
Next up is Fairy Tail, and I'm recapping this. So yeah.
Ooh, goody.
So this is Fairy Tail, chapter 534, The Door of Vows, with a cover page showing probably one of my least disliked arcs of Fairy Tail, the Tower of Heaven arc, probably due to the fact that it did have Ursa's mates as the element of the environment instead of just the villains, even though Hero didn't really intend them to be sympathetic until later on in the story, which I don't think I can praise as a way of storytelling, but anyway. So Echnologia is still chasing after Christina, or whatever that stupid blue Pegasus ship was called. Jirao jumps out and attacks him, I think turning himself into a magic projectile. Echnologia can split the sea in two, but still can't hit that bloody ship. Anna is still trying to force the ravines of time open, and realizes that Zeref's purposefully closing them. We cut to Zeref, who I think is about to do his timey-wimey thingy. But then Lucy and Gray realize something must have happened to Natsu, since the scriptures from the book of Zeref are popping. But it's okay! Lucy can rewrite them, since apparently she has photographic memory now. That's a thing now. So with this, she somehow manages to open the ravines of time and make them visible. And suddenly Jirao intends to sacrifice himself, because apparently there's no other way. But then we don't have the time to have an emotional reaction to that, because on the very next page, Natsu comes back to life. Yeah, but then we don't even have the time to react to that, because as we see 2 pages later, Lucy is either having some sort of attack or is possessed. So then, the tally for this chapter is 1 revived, 2 near death. And yeah, chapter end.
There's also another tally that we should be keeping track of.
Yeah?
Which is how many fucking times a character has said, "Don't worry, I'm gonna sacrifice myself to defeat this super powerful enemy," in this arc alone.
I know! I hate this.
It happened with Gajeel. It happened with Gray and Luvia. It happened with Gray twice in this arc.
Oh yeah! Because
it kinda happened with August.
And with Makarov.
Okay, with Makarov, we're still waiting the long haul on that one. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be okay, but we'll see. It happened with Urza. And now it's gonna happen with Jalal, and okay, look. I get that Jalal's probably the most disposable character on that ship, because we know how important Anna and the fucking Blue Pegasus people are. But I swear to God, if Jalal is the motherfucker who takes down Acnologia, I'm going to be so mad.
Oh, God. This is... they're not even... I think he just wants to die, because I don't get the reasoning why it's the only way that he just flies into the ravines of time. I guess he just has to obscure them so that Acnologia doesn't notice?
Can't he shoot down a fucking meteor? Isn't that one of his powers?
Yeah. He even does it in this chapter, but...
I don't care how hard you're gonna tackle someone. I feel like a meteor's gonna be pretty fucking effective.
Oh, God.
Oh my God. Look, okay. Yes, I called Natsu was coming back in 1 chapter. I don't deserve pats on the back for that. Everyone fucking did.
Everyone knew it.
Everyone knew that Natsu was gonna be fucking fine. But I guess, and I'm not sure how, I guess Lucy is somehow opening up the portal through the book.
Yeah. That is the implication.
And then she's also healing Natsu
and getting possessed, I think. What do you think is happening to her?
And getting possessed by the QB or something. I don't fucking know, like the evilness. I hope so badly that it's Mard Gear. That like this is his big comeback.
Oh,
he like
God.
returns through the book. It's like, Mard Gear has returned once again. I will take control of this child's body, and then I, Mard Gear, will get my revenge on Zeref for turning me into a book and setting me on fire.
I would love that. I mean, we said that we weren't ever going to do a voiced live reaction again, but I think we might do an exception for Fairy Tail if Mardgear ever comes back.
I certainly would, and
I guess the evil patterns on Lucy on the last page kind of look like a tree. So I don't know what what the
They do,
application
but
would be.
there's not a lot of, and look, this is fairy tale. I know this is how it's got to be. There's doesn't really feel like there's a lot of horror to it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's like the black shading, and like there's Lucy's like kind of dead-ish eyes. But at its base, it's like, oh, there's lines on my body. Oh no, like it's sort of that thing where Hero always needs to keep his characters sexy.
Yeah.
So we can never really go like, because I'd want something like really creepy at the end of that chapter, but like I guess that would take away from it or something. Because at its base, it's just like, well, there's lines here. Ooh, you know.
Well, yeah. This isn't really Hero's style, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine someday we'll need to binge a few chapters of Fairy Tail and play a drinking game for the series. I think a character being killed and then revived could be one of the conditions.
Indeed. That's what I'll hide at the end of my next WMR game.
Oh god.
Because as nobody's discovered it yet, at the end of the canon ending of the WMR RPG,
Yeah.
the weekly manga recap drinking game is hidden. It's within that game. It's the prize you get for getting to the end.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh okay.
Yeah. If you get to the canon ending of this game, there's the WMR drinking game at the end.
Okay. Now I know what to do my Wednesday nights.
Oh yes.
Right. So, is there anything else to mention, or do you want to move on to Food Wars?
We can move on. It's not a bad chapter. It's just kind of meh.
Yeah.
But we can move on to Food Wars.
I mean, there are the usual cliches, but then again, the panel when Natsu comes back to life is kind of cool. I can
I suppose
give the chapter
so.
that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, Food Wars. Chapter what's that? Chapter 213.
Indeed. So in this chapter of Food Wars, we get Azami and Joichiro on the cover page for no reason really. Souma hands over his dish to the Michelin star. I know they have a name within the world. I'm just going to call them Michelin inspectors. So he hands it over. They start to eat and kind of have that same Souma reaction where, you know, they enjoy it thoroughly. We get a bunch of explanations about soba noodles, which I'm not going to repeat because it would take so long. We find out that once again, it's based off of a commoner's dish, as he would put it, like an instant soba noodle. We get a slight flashback to him talking to Ishiki about this while on the train, assumably after picking him up. And then we get a shot of all the characters at the Japanese festival with Ishiki in the background in his loincloth. And then finally...
I love that it's not even a naked apron, it's just a fundoshi.
Just in the background, you know. And and they all have various different festival foods. The judges then decide that it was a unanimous answer, and that they're wondering why this particular dish has a stronger soba flavor than the other. I have to assume it's Souma. I'm sorry, I really don't see Souma losing this.
Yeah. I suppose from what he said, I think we might gather that Souma is going to win, because he's talking about a strong flavor, and we all said that Kinokuni's dish was a rather more delicate, refined thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also one of those cases where it's like I get that you have to draw it out for the sake of drama, but I mean, come the fuck on. There's no way Souma's gonna lose this. There's no way the main character is gonna get taken out of the competition in the first round, right?
Well, you never know. Next chapter, we might be getting Food Wars Shokugeki no Ishiki. God, that's a mouthful.
Oh my god, I would love that. and I'm the main character now. It's like, yeah, I'm actually pretty fine with this. Okay.
This would be like this like I guess this omake moment in Naruto Shippuden when there was the hidden arc, Hidan, I think that's what this guy is pronounced, and just Shikamaru took over at the end of the credits and said, okay, this is Shikamaru no Shippuden now.
This is my arc now.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. Chapter's fine. There's not a these kinds of Food Wars tasting chapters are usually at their best when they have two things that sadly that this chapter kind of has neither of those. Either really solid character development or really, really over the top interesting reactions. And the reaction is beautifully drawn. It's a really nice scene of them at the festival.
Yeah.
But there's not a ton of and
absurdity.
I like Nene's
absurdity, I guess.
That's exactly what I'd put. Like when I think of like my favorite moments of like them tasting food, I think to Megumi and Kurokiba's Shokugeki when they like have stands that are punching each other, or like the finale in the Fall Classic when they're tasting everyone's food and Kurokiba's makes the judges go into the set of like the anime Free, and all of a sudden all of them have like giant swords that they're slashing each other with. So I'd prefer something a little bit more along the lines of that, but I still acknowledge it's a really beautifully done panel. But I guess I don't feel the rivalry between Nene and Souma as much, which makes sense. It's not really supposed to be that kind of Shokugeki, but I feel like because the rivalry here between Nene and Ashiki has been given so much focus, you don't really feel the tension between the two characters as much as you probably will when we get a Shokugeki like Kuga versus Tsukasa or something like that, where we know there's a huge history there.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just everything's symbolic in Echo. Everything's symbolic recently in Food Wars lately, isn't it? I mean, first the desert metaphor for Joichiro, then as we said before, the match between Souma and Kinokuni itself. Now the types of flower, the first flower and third flower, which is kind of representative of I guess the castes of cooking. I'm not complaining, but some might find it a bit on the nose. I'm enjoying the light symbolism there, but yeah.
I've always kind of liked it because I've always found that there's a tongue-in-cheek element that I really enjoyed. Like, I think what first really sold me on Kurokiba was when they did the symbolism of, like, his food's like a punch in the face. And then it literally showed him, like, in a fantasy sequence, punching all the judges in the face.
Oh, God.
I was like...
I thought you were...
Okay, I can...
Yeah?
Huh?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I can get into this. I can get into this character.
I thought you were going to say, I enjoyed the caste symbolism of Alice telling Kurokiba to dress like a puppy or whatever it was.
Yeah, we're just gonna skip right over that because I'm very happy that the mangaka has just kind of dropped that weird subplot in their relationship away. Because, first of all, I think he's realized by now, just like, oh yeah, Kurokiba doesn't really fit in that role of a character at all. So I'm very glad that undertone in their relationship has gone away. But it's one of those chapters that I can fully acknowledge is good, but it's not quite as good as what we've seen before because there's not the relationship in the Shokugeki isn't between Soma and Nene. The relationship is between Nene and Ishiki, and when they're not directly going against one another, there's not that really burning feeling of rivalry that we could see like in the finale of the Fall Classic, or when Hayama faced off against Soma, or whenever the first time Aldini and Soma had their match against each other. There's not quite that personal element to it, and I fully admit that we are going to get that later on, and if every single Shokugeki had that same feeling to it, yeah, it would probably get repetitive given how many that we have to get through. But it does mean that I'm sort of hoping that this first round is going to go a little faster from now on, because we don't quite have the personal clash with Soma and Nene, and we're definitely not going to get it with Ashiki, the third seat, and these two new people who just kind of showed up, unless the hat guy has some, like, insane history with the third seat that we don't know about.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of enjoy it as to shake things up. I kind of like that Soma is kind of the representative of Ishiki in that feud.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see why it would be a little less enjoyable for some. So yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I have to mention again the discussing the surprise that Soma is making yakisoba. This is so ridiculous. It's all the discussing behind bars.
It's very amusing to me. It's slightly there's the expression of the peanut gallery, but I like the fact that we literally have a peanut gallery just trapped in a cage in the corner, whose only job is to just freak the fuck out every time someone cooks something. And look, if it's starting to get irritating now, we gotta strap the fuck in, because it's only gonna get worse as we go through 10 more of these. Minimum.
I'm kind of enjoying this on a kind of I don't know. I'm supposing this is supposed to be kind of tongue in cheek in itself. As Food Wars always had some sort of a parody element to it. So yeah. Anything else to mention, or shall we move on to My Hero?
We can move on. I'm good with that.
All right then. So, My Hero Academia, whatever. I can pronounce things. I'm a phonetician. I'm great. Chapter 136. More talking. So the skeptical hero that berated Deku and Mirio at the meeting brings up the point that Overhaul might move Eri away to prevent her from getting caught. Night Eye shows signs of over-preparation as he reveals he summoned the minor heroes to search all possible locations she could be in. Also that they have the best possible shot at saving her. Fat Gum doesn't like that, and confronts him. Grant Reno tries to reconciliate the two, and Aizawa asks why Night Eye can't just see the future. We learn that Night Eye's foresight is something he can only do once a day, and when he does, he essentially watches a film of someone's life. We find out that this is why he's so careful. He feels he should use it only when the chances of success have been brought to the highest, as he simply doesn't want to see other people's death. There's no explicit way shown how to avoid the outcome in this foresight. When asked to tell the skeptical hero's fortune, he outright refuses. So, as the meeting comes to a close, we see Mirio and Deku moping and doping, Aizawa joins the kids and kind of gives Deku a pep talk, but also says he'll be watching it. Night Eye and Gran Torino have a talk about Deku being similar to All Might in the madness, and we cut to Eri, who is lying down on a bed in her dark room surrounded by toys. A strange man approaches her, and I think tries to be affectionate to win her trust, but doesn't really know how to do that. So he keeps smacking her on the head. It's really weird. And as he leaves, we hear Eri's thoughts as she thinks about Deku. It was different. Totally different. Up until now, not a single person has ever touched me like that before. His hand was so kind. Yep. That's the chapter. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody. So I feel like My Hero Academia is just trying to make an arc where every single week they're like, "Hey Nova, get the fuck over here. You're gonna be sad this week, okay? we are gonna specifically we're gonna specifically manipulate your emotional weaknesses. Now get over here." Because so the ending of this chapter was so like, oh, it just made me so sad.
I was the opposite. It made me laugh so hard because I'm not sure if My Hero is trying to fit all those double entendres in its chapters, or is it just accidental? But okay, first we have maximum hardness, and now not a single person has ever touched me like that before.
I want to point out, in the official scan, the line is "No one has ever reached out to me."
Oh, okay, that's better.
It's "No one has ever reached out to me. His hand felt so kind." It's not like this is one of those cases where it's like, yeah, the scanlations made this a fuck ton creepier.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it could still be suggestive, but yeah. Props to the official release for that.
You gotta be looking for it in the official translation, where in the scanlation it's just right there. Yeah, there's the beginning of this chapter is interesting. It's not something that personally appeals to me that much. I don't know what it is. There's something about the way My Hero does meetings. Maybe it's the realism of it, or the fact that it's always done in such like plain-looking boardrooms.
Mm-hmm.
But it never feels overly exciting. But like, I can see how this is, really good writing and really good setup. But the ending of the chapter is really where it gets me, and it just keeps hooking me every single time and gets me reinvested in this arc. As for the guy who's now her caretaker, I feel like he might have more luck if he like gave her a light, because
he's just accidentally the single most creepy person in the Shihasakai.
It's like, hey, I feel like Overhaul's entire organization is just the set of the Fantastic Four remake. We're like, do lights even exist? Do we even have lights at all? It's like, nope, we just kind of see in like perpetual, almost pitch blackness all the time.
Oh yeah. I also really I really like this chapter too, but I had it hooked me another way. I really liked what it did for Senaitai. Horikoshi does have this talent of taking those wicked, those cool powers, and giving them a tragic side. It's like what we've seen with Todoroki before. So it's essentially, this is kind of like Jin, kind of like Jin from Trigger, except except Night Eye doesn't really take seeing people dead well. So
It's also a lot less broken than Jin's power.
yeah, I guess so because his is only instantaneous and Jin's is kind of perma active, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see why Sonaitai might have some psychological issues with his power, and this would kind of make sense why he's so over prepared, overly careful, so much reserved and on edge at the same time, and why he places so much emphasis on humor.
Yeah, and I think the last thing this chapter did very well, and it's something we got a little bit with Coda in the previous arc, but it's hitting so much harder here, is we're really starting to see Deku and his impact of being a hero on people.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was... I know that it was a longer story with Coda, and overall people would say that even compared to this, his would still be better. But just the way it's described here about this character, Eri, who has never felt this kind of kindness before, and even this small gesture was just enough to just create this almost reverence for Deku in a way, as this symbol of, like, the kindness that she's never really received before. It's excellent. And that final shot of Deku raising up his hand again, and you can see the scars on it from the previous time it's been destroyed while using his power. I mean, this is great. The scene with him and Aizawa is great. This is a great chapter. I love it.
Yeah, this thing between Eri and Deku is kind of the putting motivation done well. Kind of this person has given me so much kindness that I've never received before, and that's why I'm breaking into tears right now. So yeah. This is how, if this was the case, I would have liked to see it done in one piece. Is there anything else to mention, or shall we move on to Black Clover?
Let's move on to Black Clover.
All right then. So, do you want to recap it too, or
sure?
Shall I do it?
Yeah,
okay.
I can do this. All right, so we meet the character who, as it turned out, is Fuego Leon's older sister, who is named, and I'm looking for the name here.
I love this. I have it prepared. Milio Leona Vermilion.
So Millie, as I'm going to call her, so Millie yells at her squad for their failure and does her kind of cross between tough love and shit your pants terrifying speech, where she both, I guess, inspires her squad to do better, and then decides that they're going to go to the Hot Springs training camp, and for some reason takes Asta and Yuno with them.
Not only Asta and Yuno.
Yeah. Where we get the closest thing to personality Yuno has ever shown in the entire series. Where he says, I'm not supposed to be this kind of character. Which, you're right. So, then Yami makes fun of all the other captains for a little while for getting below him. Then the Crimson Lions captain shows up, and I guess for some reason has the authority to just take 2 other captains who are ranked above her. Which I don't really... You'd think they would just be like, no, I have responsibilities in the city. I have a squad I have to run.
I just
And
think
then
that
takes-
they were so shocked that they didn't even have time to react.
Yeah, so they take Noelle, good. They take Yami, I guess. And they take the Blue Rose captain. And then bring them all to a strong magic region, Yultim Volcano Trail. And I'm very confused. I don't really understand what's happening, because I feel like Yami and the Blue Rose captain should just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go home, because you have no authority over me. I don't understand why they're here.
I don't understand it either, but I kind of like it.
I kind of like it, but okay. You think? Here's my actual problem with this chapter. You'd think if you wanted to have this supposed random hot springs training arc, wouldn't you include people who we haven't seen before? Like, this is just... Like, these are all people who we've seen very frequently. So wouldn't you want to flush out someone else?
I guess we do have Miliolio and Vermilion. Yes, I'm gonna use the full name every time.
You got her and you got Leo,
Yeah.
I guess. But other than that, I mean, you got Yami and you got Charlotte, and I guess I forgot just how stupid her hat looked until now. But that is the dumbest thing that she's got on her head.
It's like kind of a Greek helmet, but without the feathery things on top, and it just a big spike. But
It's also confusing. Isn't there another squad called the Narwhal? No, it's the Orcas. Wasn't there
Yeah.
Is there a squad called the Unicorns, or am I just making that up?
I
I think I'm making that up.
I don't know.
Okay, I just don't... It's just a really odd choice of hat to me that I don't really understand, but...
Yeah, but I...
And I also...
Hmm?
I also don't... Look, I get it. We've been down this road before. I don't get how fire picks you up. I don't understand how that works at all.
Well, we had it in... we had sticky fire in Fairy Tail too, so... Yeah, I just kind of assume it does for some reason.
Yeah.
Though, yeah, I did laugh out loud quite a few times in this chapter, and I stand by my opinion that Tabata's pretty good in comedy. So I'm hoping to get. I know it sounds weird to say that, but I hope we get a few more chapters of these. Of this hot springs training arc before we go into another adventure or action arc. Yeah.
I'd certainly be up for that. I just don't understand. This is such a weird character who just like shows up and it's just like, I'm gonna fucking take all these people. It's like, why? Why? Like it doesn't seem to be any reason. She's just like, I'm gonna take these people. Why? They were in the room, I guess.
Yeah.
It just felt like it.
I just assume rule of funny covers that.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, it turns out that she's not Fuego Leon's love interest, but her older sister. Or, you know, according to what Ichigo and Yuzu taught us, why not both?
No.
So wait, here's something I don't get. On the 7th page, Asta has his glowy bug eyes, but and the caption says, "Whoa, so intense, awesome!" But then the thought bubble says, "I dread to think what kind of crazy extra training awaits them." So the thought and the thoughts don't really match for Asta's character, I guess.
I assume Asta's a goldfish. With the second he has one thought, he instantly forgets it in favor of an entirely different one.
Oh yeah.
I just assume none of his thoughts connect. I just assume they're all constantly contradicting the one that appeared 5 seconds earlier and is now forgotten and lost in the ether.
Oh god. Yeah, he is certainly that. Yeah, so I guess we can both agree that we can just appreciate what a ridiculous name Miliolio Never Million is. And
Yeah,
and we can
really good, big fan of Millie. Want to see where they're gonna take her character.
Yeah. So, shall we move on to Promised Neverland?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Promised Neverland. Chapter 37, Escape.
Or I'll escape now from that world, from the world of Emma Van Emma. Emma Van Emma is nothing now. Another story must begin.
Oh no! I'm jumping off of a bridge now!
Splat.
Yeah. So anyway, everything's on fire when we enter a flashback, where we see Isabella as a kid, listen to another kid at the orphanage named Leslie, who she had a crush on, singing a song. Leslie eventually gets shipped out. In a beautiful sequence without words, we see Isabella find out what's beyond the wall, then her being offered to become a mom herself, and eventually go through the training and become pregnant. We find out her motivation was to make the best of what she had to survive, as well as allow the children to live as long as possible. Also, we learn that Ray's her kid, her biological kid. He learned Leslie's song she used to hum while he was still in her uterus, because of course he did. He asks why she gave birth to him, and as the flashback ends, she responds that it was in order for her to survive.
Hey Mom, did you have baby memories too when you were a kid? Because I do.
Mom thinks about how she could have changed the outcome, but ultimately admits her defeat. She finally looks at them as her own children, whom she wishes she could have loved normally. She says goodbye and hopes they can stay safe. As she comes back to all the 4-year-olds, we see that she now knows about Phil being aware about the nature of Gracefield House, as she tells him Team Emma made it out okay. Eventually, we cut to the kids running away. Emma realizes that they're free, but also that they'll have a tough time trying to survive outside. But it doesn't matter because the sun also rises as we find out that it's January 15th. Holy crap! How aren't they freezing to death? I guess this might be the southern peninsula. The flora would suggest a mild climate, so I guess somewhere around New Zealand would make sense. Yep. Also, it's 2046, and 15 humans have escaped from the plantation. Yep, great chapter.
So before I get into my actual thoughts on this, I want to point out it's the smallest panel in the entire chapter, but it is the funniest fucking thing, because you see Isabella flashing back to when all of the children were very, very small. And you get one panel where Isabella is reading a story to Emma and Ray, and Ray's face in that panel is the funniest fucking thing, because he just clearly is so bored by this story and just gives none of the fucks. Like, it's so tiny, but it's just that expression of just like, yeah, okay, what next? You gonna turn the page yet? God, we've been on this. All right, come on.
I read a
There's
lot.
5 words.
Come on, I read Proust in your belly.
There's 5 words on this page. Come on. Go, dog, go, dog. It's the same words. It's go 3 times, dog 1 time. We can get the picture here, lady. Can we move on now? I want to see what the cat's doing. I feel like that entire plot line has been dropped from this story. That expression.
He just takes Isabella's radio and starts his own podcast.
This is Little Ray on the airs today, letting you know.
Along with little Hody Jones. And he just doesn't contribute in any way, just sits in the background and says, "Kill all humans!"
We're gonna be talking about La La Land today and the cinematic genius that's been putting out. What do you think, Hody? Filthy humans!
Filthy humans!
All right, but on to the actual chapter. This was just kind of one holy shit moment after the other. Finding out Mom's motivation is excellent, and it's the kind of thing that once you reread this series, I think this will add a lot of depth into the things we've already seen, because you can understand how this is not only a path very similar to the one that Crone went down. The only difference is Isabella was better at it. But that if Isabella had contacted Emma sooner, this might have been a path that she went down too, because the moment Isabella discovered part of the secret, that was when the mother of the plantation came down and talked to her. But the fact that Norman and Emma, and especially Ray, had all these secrets far beforehand sort of shaped them into being able to succeed where Isabella failed. And then that panel where you find out that Ray is her biological child, and her expression in that is absolutely heartbreaking. And this is another interesting element of the series, because this is something that we now know Ray knows.
Yeah.
It's not just Isabella's realization, it's Ray's realization too, that they are mother and son. And this is something he hasn't revealed to Emma yet. This is something he hasn't revealed to anyone at all. And so it's another element that we get to see paid off for down the line. But the fact that Isabella's final reaction is to wish them the best in that sense, because she knows that she's failed, that they've succeeded where she never managed to, and that they're going to go out into the world, presents this fantastic idea of optimism and an excellent rounding out to Mom's character.
Yeah.
Who we might not see again for a very long time.
And it was so well executed too, because I could see in the hands of another writer, it's not making sense for the character, but with all that we've been shown, it makes sense. It makes sense entirely that she. Okay, this is gonna sound very cheesy, but that she did. It was made clear that she did love them all as their own children, but the circumstances didn't allow her to. The circumstances just made her have that kind of twisted morality in that. Oh, okay. So I'll allow them to live as long as possible in complete without knowing that all of this is going on. They're just going to live in happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, but the fact that, and look, some people are going to question that, like, okay, this isn't the most, like, piece by piece logical character development, you gotta understand, Mom's not all there, at least in the terms of sanity. We've sort of seen the fact that she lost a bit of herself along the way because, I mean, it's a job where you constantly have to get attached to these people and then know that you're shipping them out to die. It's something where you can't completely keep your sanity through that. So I feel like that excuses a lot of the minor grievances people might have. But the final page of this, where they see this huge forest, and I was actually really terrified going, because I was really worried as they came to the cliff, it would be like, you come to the cliff, and a field of demons looks up at you. Like, it's just like, well, we're fucked. But this presents shockingly...
It's just a D&D campaign gone wrong.
It's like, well... Alright, let me roll for dexterity. Let me see. Alright. Hey, Ray, what's your stealth? My stealth is like 1,000,000. Okay.
Yeah, he would be exactly that player.
But I'm not that kind of thief, but I can hide if you want me to. But this presents a very optimistic way forward, which is exactly what you need when moving into a very different kind of story that we're going to get from now on, because this is turning from an escape story to a survival story to almost elements of a detective story where they now, they had to figure out what the plantation was. Now they have to figure out what the world is. What's changed? Do the demons control everything? Is there, are there still humans out there resisting them? We've seen that for the most part, humans are actually assisting these creatures. So there's just so much that I can't wait to see. I'm looking forward to seeing these other new children who we haven't really seen much of, and now we get to find out what their personalities are and what their characters are and how they're going to react to the whole, everything is a lie. You know this now. Now you gotta live with that as we travel around this new world. It's so exciting as a reader. Though I will say, Emma, that weird cowlick thing that you have at the front of your hair is getting way the fuck out of control. You gotta cut. In that final panel, girl, you gotta cut that. That is insane.
Oh. Yeah. You've mentioned also that it'll be interesting to see on a reread of the entire thing how exactly does the relationship of Ray and Isabella enter into it. I'm just wondering if we ever saw that tune before. The one that we heard in the flashback.
This is actually something I'm going to be really curious about when the anime comes out. Because this is going to be a very important song for the story, and I'm going to wonder how it's going to be added into the actual soundtrack of the show. But I'm not sure if we have... It's kind of hard to tell in like a medium without audio. It's kind of hard to tell. Like, have we heard this before? But maybe. Like I said, when we eventually reread it, maybe we'll find hints of it in there.
Well, just mom humming would be enough. So yeah, in any way. So yeah, all around a great chapter.
Yeah.
Finally, I have nothing to complain about.
At last.
Yeah.
Right.
So, shall we move on to Boruto?
Yeah, sure.
All right then. So, your turn.
All right. So, Boruto is hanging out with this kid around the Konoha Villa, and he shows off his cloning techniques as also his, in a really, really creepy moment, his ninja harem jutsu, which... Oh, God. Every time I read this series, I get creeped out in something. They then bond over trading cards like actual children, and as they keep going through, the kid offers to buy Boruto a bunch of the cards, but he eventually refuses and promises to help teach the kid some form of ninjutsu. They find out that they have the exact same motivation of they really want their parents to pay attention to them a bit more.
Yeah, I assume this author must really have some daddy issues.
I assume everyone in manga does. Because there's so few characters that are just like, yeah, both my parents are fine. Yeah. But eventually, after a while, he starts to get really good at throwing ninja stars, which is going to be an excellent skill to have in this series, I'm sure. And then later, he hands the kid another card that he really likes, and Boruto says again how he wants to be like Sasuke, and then finally at the end they are friends, and I think that it's then revealed that the guy's butler is trying to kill the kid or kidnap him.
Yeah, the age-old cliche of the butler did it.
Always the butler. This chapter's fine. It's actually really surprising to me. When they said like, hey, your mission is to just hang out with this kid, I didn't really expect it to just be like, yeah, and then they just hang out for a little while. The character development is actually pretty good throughout it. I still find the weird like, hey, I'm a 12-year-old boy who's gonna turn into like a bunch of naked girls and jump on another 12-year-old boy. That's creepy to me. That's really creepy. But I'm kind of gonna ignore that because overall I think it's pretty good. It just really tickles me that like Boruto is teaching this guy how to throw ninja stars, like the single most useless thing.
I just imagine Tenton's in the background crying. Yes, finally someone does this.
Teach the richest person in town to use weapons. Yes.
Then finally I'll have clients at my store.
If my shop hadn't burned down 5 years ago because I needed to get the insurance money, I would be so rich right now.
Oh god.
Shouldn't have said that out loud.
Tenton can never catch a break. Also, poor Shino, have you read the Omake page?
I have not read the Omake page. Where is that?
Yes, it's at the end. It's essentially some more trading cards bullshit with Shino being the most common card of all. And it's and the kids wonder if but no, he's got to be stronger in real life, right? But and then everyone's nah, he's probably just like his card. And then in the background Shino's saying, I'm glad I'm wearing this mask because I don't want them to see me crying in the middle of the class.
Oh. Alright. There's one thing I have to mention, though, because this is hilarious to me. We see the boy character opening up his folder to look through a bunch of the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Sakura's card is her staring over at Sasuke's card next to her with hearts surrounding her.
This is amazing.
I was just like, this really is just what defines this character now, isn't it?
Oh god.
I was like, I feel so sorry for you.
I like this chapter fine. It's a little cliched for my liking, but yeah, it's good for Boruto. And at least Tento. By the way, it's Tento. How could you forget his name? At least,
I guess I just didn't care.
At least Tento wasn't the annoying shit we all thought he was going to be. In fact, he had an understandable motivation and goal. And I mean, of course, he'd want to learn ninjutsu. If that's pretty much everyone important in the world
Okay.
knows.
Pause for a moment.
Eh?
Okay, so in the Jump Reader, these pages are page 68 and 65, but they're where Boruto decides that he's gonna teach Tento some stuff.
Oh god.
Okay, the art in this series has been weird, but there's a thing of Boruto where like his eyes are looking two different directions, and then and like his mouth is like tilted up really weirdly, and then the next page there's a thing of Tento where his like eyes are two different sizes and like vaguely pointing off slightly, and his mouth is like crawling open on the other side, and it's just like the weirdest pieces of art. It's just like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah, in a few places, I thought Tento kind of looked like a frog.
It does. I want somebody to like Photoshop that one panel of Boruto where his eyes are just slightly ajar and just replace all the dialogue with like derp, 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 or something like that. It's, oh, God, look, I understand that like this isn't Kishimoto, but this guy's okay at backgrounds, but his characters do not look good at all.
Yeah, I expect he's had some experience as an assistant, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's essentially the Ashihara case in that. Okay, maybe you could take another mangaka to draw the characters, maybe.
The thing in Ashihara's though is like for the most part, Ashihara, the issue is that his characters don't always have really interesting expressions. I actually prefer that to this, where a lot of the expressions are just like ew, like you know, I don't want to look at that at all. Also, I find it so amusing. This is my last gripe about this chapter, and it's like a stupid thing to point out, but in the final page of this chapter, I love the fact that apparently we have laptops and like televisions in this world, but there's one ninja who's like, yeah, spyglass, motherfuckers. Like, I just love that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Right then, so, Dr. Stone?
Yeah.
Okay then. So that
I'm just gonna look.
That's chapter 9, Senku versus Tsukasa.
Oddly enough, featuring no Senku versus Tsukasa. Maybe next time. So. Alright, so. Senku continues burning the smoke signal in the attempt to find someone. Meanwhile, Taiju and Yuzuriha
Yeah.
head off to find more supplies. Unfortunately, as Yuzuriha is looking for supplies, Tsukasa shows up and takes her hostage before bringing her back to Senku, who, and when I first read this panel, I thought he was just standing in the fire. I'm like, seems like a very inefficient way of working.
Okay, we don't have gunpowder anymore. Okay, I'll be the firewood.
Maybe if I stand in the fire, it'll make me stronger. I'm like, aren't you the smart one? But so Tsukasa threatens to kill Yuzuriha unless Senku gives himself up, and Senku says, yeah, Senku essentially tries to bluff and says that I don't really care, but then Tsukasa gives her a haircut, and Senku shows that no, he actually would be worried if something were to happen.
I love
and
that. I love that.
Says, like,
I love that. That's the moment when he starts to care. Oh
Yeah.
no, we don't need Yuzuriha. You can kill her, but we need her hair.
Like, oh no. We've lost all the long hair fetishes, but gained all the short hair fetishes. Damn. But then Tsukasa essentially says, like, this person can't fight. So reviving her was kind of a mistake. You probably should have just hid her somewhere. And this is why I'm better than you, because I don't, care about people that much. I care about myself, and I can work on my own well without ever having to worry about this exact same situation where someone uses a hostage against me. So, unless you want me to kill her, just give yourself up. And Yuzuriha says, you're the only person who can save us, because, I don't know how to do this. Taiju will never figure it out. Senku, you're the only person who can bring about, change in this world where everyone comes back. But then Senku says, yeah, but I don't want you to die, so here's how you create the revival fluid. And then Tsukasa says, okay, thanks, but here's the thing, I actually don't need you to live, so I'm gonna kill you now. But Taiju then sees that something is happening, and as he realizes that Tsukasa is there, he rushes forward. We also see that one of the people who's created the smoke signals is a new female character, assumably. But the way this chapter ends is very interesting. So Tsukasa is trying to get Senku to promise that he'll stop trying to advance humanity scientifically, which I'm gonna point out, probably not the best thing to ask of the guy whose entire gimmick is science.
Pinky promise.
Swearsies. But Tsukasa's reaction is actually saying that, listen, do that and I won't have to kill you, which is very interesting to me, because we're already seeing that even though Tsukasa just says, listen, I don't care about anyone, I just keep myself at the center of things, that's how I win. Clearly, he doesn't want to kill Senku. So it's either a case where he doesn't want to kill somebody his own age, or it's a case where he actually is starting to feel, if not a kinship, then at least some form of respect to Senku, or at least a happiness for, hey, you know what, this guy saved my life, I feel a little bad murdering him.
Yeah, I guess he has felt respect for him ever since the beginning, because in his opening chapter there was this whole exchange of why are you praising me for no reason? Are you flirting with me?
So here's the thing, I like Tsukasa a lot. I feel like there's not going to be much of a resolution for him, because he's murdered a lot of people. So I feel like there can't be much of a... And now he's just a buddy of ours now. But I'm liking the fact that there's starting to be some real form of depth to him. That he kind of knows that I probably do have to kill this guy, or else he's going to be my bane for the rest of my life. But I really don't want to kill him, and I want to give him these chances, but this just isn't working here. And this next chapter, I'm going to assume that the new female character is going to show up and help, because between Taiju, Yuzuriha, and Senku, these guys are still 3 ways of fucked if they want to try fighting Tsukasa.
Yeah. I assume... Well, I don't want to assume much, because I'm interested in seeing how 5 separate forces, because we've seen 3 other smoke signals coming from the woods, So I assume we're going to be introducing more characters than just the new female one. Also, I'm curious whether the character teased at the end why she's wearing platform shoes or high heels in a stone world.
Okay, I gotta look over this again.
Well, the shading.
I don't know.
The
That
shading
seems
makes
like
makes it look like that.
maybe she finds them comfortable. I don't know. I mean, I feel like those would be really hard to get around in without, like, given how uneven the ground is everywhere. But you know what? You do you, girl. You do you.
Also, on page 13, Senku has his own magical cum face. Don't tell me it doesn't look like that to you. Just the moment after Yuzuriha says that he can't die.
God damn it. God damn it.
You see it, right? You see it.
Moving on. Moving the fuck on to oh god, what's next? Do we have anything else to say about this chapter?
Yeah, no,
it's good.
It's good. The last chapter or chapters, I guess. How many chapters of We Never Learn were released this week in the official release?
Let's see. I think it was. It's just chapter 9.
Oh,
so
okay.
They're going to the long haul in this one.
Alright then, so chapter 9. I have a bit of the recap from last week, but yeah. So in chapter 9, we find out Firmino has been doing a little extra studying and has neglected a developing cold. The group all go to her house to nurse her back to health. They do. Firmino understands Greek symbols in maths by flashing back to the origin, and she passes to the end.
So I feel like I was giving this series too much flack for certain things, because after I made a complaint about the fan service in the series, somebody linked me to another manga that is currently running in Shonen Jump.
Uh-huh.
Uragi Soyu no Yuna-san, as I believe it's called, which is an ecchi harem manga about, like, ghosts and mystical creatures and stuff.
Oh.
And I read some of that series, and We Never Learn. I will never give you shit about fan service again, because you have shown beautiful restraint in comparison to what that series is. You are trying to tell far more of a story, and they're trying to add far more character development than anything in that entire series. I'm sorry. I might have to do an episode just on that manga at some point, except for the fact that I don't want you guys to have to read it, because this is the most not safe for work series I've ever seen.
Oh, now I'm interested.
But we're not recapping that, though. But, so, we do the classic, okay, he walked inside as they were, as, Tomoko? Is that her? Not Tomoko.
Takamoto.
As Takamoto was giving the girl, and this is what's always confusing to me. I guess she was wiping down her back because she was sweaty, but I feel like, typically speaking, I mean, wouldn't a shower work just as well? Then there's this really weird scene where Takamoto mentions just like, oh, you're a guy, you'd like to see that kind of stuff, and it's like, oh, but I'm not saying I'd show you anything, like blushing. It's like, well, that's confusing.
Milo must be furious right now, because Takamoto is turning more and more tsundere chapter by chapter.
Every single chapter. Fuyoshi, is that her name?
Firmino?
Firmino, thank you. Firmino continues to be all desu desu or something in the bed, as Takamoto shows that she can cook very well, and there's more weird, weird harem fantasies, I guess, and where she's, I'm just gonna skip over that. I don't need to... It's exactly what you think is gonna be in this series, and then we get a bit more character development from Fumino about, wanting to get better and wanting to be able to solve all the math problems. Yay! And then there's a weird joke where there's like, oh, and you've been sweating a lot, so I can see through your pajamas, which I want to point out is a shockingly conservative shot in comparison to another manga that is running in this magazine. And then we see that her skills are improving, and I guess the principal now has a dark beard and weird, like, hair horns. I don't get... He just doesn't look like the same character anymore. He's had a wacky makeover. And then his assistant sort of continues to say that, like, this is a horrible idea, by the way. And then at the end of the chapter, the main character has now caught the cold.
I imagine she's just standing there to tell him constantly, I'm just going to tell you, you are terrible at your job, and you will never become a good headmaster.
It's also weird because I get standing behind the person when someone's in the room, but, like, is your job just to, like, stand slightly behind this person all day and once in a while cynically comment on stuff? I don't understand that.
Well, I can
Like,
imagine that.
If I were her, I'd be like, Jesus, where's the teachers union? Can I get a chair or something? Or a stool? Come on, man.
No, we have to be ready to look, presentable in case some sort of student arrives.
I just have to stand behind your desk all day and watch you looking up ecchi manga on your break. Look, you don't have to lie about what you're looking at. I'm behind you. I can see, man.
No, what are you talking about? I'm just looking at important work stuff.
That's prison school. I can see the title right there. It's just... Oh god.
Come to think of it, it's really disturbing that you actually read about a school in which these sort of things happen. I don't think you should be having this job, actually.
Well, funnily enough, I'm still the best principal to ever have been seen in Shonen Jump. Like, my god, you're right. And you're still awful.
Like my colleague, what would you say, principal from To Love Ru?
Or the principal from Uragi Soru no Yunasan, who I don't think exists.
Okay then.
I think it's just a school controlled by the students.
So I can't complain about English in these chapters, so there's nothing for me to talk about. Though I did like the bit of Fumino learning by association. I basically use the same method for everything, so I liked seeing it there. I have a tendency, for example, to sometimes I create NPCs out on the forum or in my series out of some kind of authors I have to learn about. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I liked seeing it implemented here. And do we have anything else to say, or are we finishing?
I can't really. I think I've said enough. It's an okay chapter, you know.
Yeah, it's fine. So, that is gonna do it for this week of Stammer Stream. Thank you for watching, either on my YouTube channel or live at twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. We usually record on Mondays at noon Eastern Standard Time. 5 p.m. GMT, and 6 p.m. GMT plus 1 Echo. You can follow me on Twitter at Cheddar for updates on the stream, on Panganta, Friendly Faces Everywhere, Iffy Reviews, World Triggered, and many other things. Follow Milo at Hoven with an H for anime waifus and Cabal hijinks. Follow Dr. Nova at Jonah Loves Snow for his WMR Choose Your Own Adventure game, the link to which you'll find in the YouTube description below.
Thank you.
Yeah, and follow Caster at Caster UK for, well, still nothing. Be sure to visit our One Piece RP forum, One Dream Adventure Reborn, to write some lovely stories with us and hang out with us to talk about manga in general. Oh, sorry. Would you like to describe and plug your game in detail?
Sure. Essentially, I got bored one day while working on a class project and thought this would be fun. So I created a Choose Your Own Adventure game based on the podcast Weekly Manga Recap. So essentially, you can find it either in a thread in the showcase on ODAR online, or you can go to my Twitter and you can find a link to that there. Essentially, it's choose your own adventure style, so you can choose between 4 characters, by which I mean you can choose between 2 characters, and
don't spoil
you'll
it.
get the and you'll get to go down all these different paths. And I'm not sure how many people have replayed it over and over again, but there are a bunch of different paths you can go down. To not spoil any, but to kind of like give some hints, there's one related to the Promised Neverland, there's one related to going to Japan, there's one related to Chris's fan fiction, there's one related to finding the world's best Pop-Tarts, there's one related to getting in a Shokugeki, there's one related to tracking down and fighting a bear with Leonardo DiCaprio.
There's one related to the freaking Band-Aid incident, so yeah.
Oh, there is that, yes. And at the end, should you find the canon ending to the game, by which I mean the ending that will be important if I ever feel like making a sequel, which I might not given the lukewarm reception that's been getting, and the fact that apparently Weekly Manga Recap itself has been like, yeah, we're not really going to link people to this. You guys just kind of have fun with your fan thing over there.
Well, you should. Well, they have responded at least, and you should probably link it.
Have they responded?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I could be remembering it wrong, but you could link it in the during the stream if you ever catch it.
I might link it there. I'm not gonna. I don't think I'll be able to catch it this week, but you know. But should you reach the final ending of the game, there is a prize for you, which is the unofficial Weekly Manga Recap drinking game, which is at the end.
Yeah. And
another surprise for you after you get through that. So, best of luck through that. It's gonna be fun.
I've only played through the demo back when you linked it to us in the mod chat. But yeah, I can tell you it's glorious. You should play it.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different endings. I think there's around a little over 12. Granted, a couple of those are endings where you die, where there are only like 2 or 3, and people have already found all of them, which is very amusing. And this is the last thing I'll say, just for a little tease, there is a way to beat the bear. A lot of people think you just have to die or run away. No, there's a way to beat that bear.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave you guys on that note. It's hard, but there's a way.
Does it involve honey mustard?
It does not.
Oh.
It involves beating the shit out of a bear.
Oh. It seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Okay then. Any updates on the event?
Not really. I think the only thing I'd mention for the event is that once you've gotten your challenge request, please go back and delete your request.
Oh,
Because
right.
we're really getting backed up on those, and a lot of these are like, we've already done these. So once you've gotten your request, go back, delete the request that you put in, because otherwise we're just gonna, kind of get flooded with them.
Yeah, so, okay then. Once again, cheers for watching, and see you next week. Take care.
Bye, everybody.